1. We live, Kurt?
Yep.
Oh, hey, welcome to Plat Chat. This is episode 109. You may notice that Josh isn't here, neither is Bren, neither is Avast. They're trapped in a warehouse somewhere in Los Angeles. 12 days, I hear. Kurt?
They told us we needed ad revenue so we could pay the fee to free them.
Kurt barely made it out. Kurt, you made it out?
Yes, sir. Sorry, my mic was on the floor. It is back on my desk.
You have to like bend down to speak. Like
I just
Yes,
dropped.
Kurt is very tall. So if the mic is on the ground, that's a problem.
Yeah, I dropped it the last time I talked.
Today we're gonna do some fun shit. The first thing we're gonna do is talk about a move that got announced today. It is Pelican. Also, this is Josh in the middle is hilarious. Also, I think there's two things we have to discuss here. This is an awesome move for the Outlaws, obviously. 1, is it a trade if nothing goes back to Atlanta? No, it's really just kind of like a buyout. 2, what is pending league approval?
you explained that.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I don't.
Yeah, but these contracts don't come directly to me. I would do some crazy shit. I'd be like, you know what? Jake has to wrestle a bear, and if he wins, they can have Pelican. That's kind of what I would do for league approvals. This should help the Outlaws a lot, though, because him and Piggy are boys, and then you got Dante still. It's a pretty fire team so far.
Is that what they were hinting at? Do you know that he's like very good friends with Piggy? Because when the rumor came out that Pelican was like looking to get away from Atlanta Reign, Brad tweeted out that mysterious thing that was like, when a player asks for something, you do everything in your power to make it happen, or whatever it was. So do you think this was just Pelican who was like, hey, I want to play with my friend Piggy on the Outlaws? Because I thought it would have been like a Korean team, like I want to go back to Korea, I want to spend time with my family, health problems, all that. But
like Atlanta making some changes with their roster, and then him wanting to not stay along with that and do something else and go somewhere else, to where Piggy is a very good player, Dante as well. It looks like they have Jake still in the mix. I don't know.
Is that no? I'm pretty sure it expired on the OverwatchLeague.com website. I think it said that the contract expired.
Right. I mean, he narrated a video for them today and tweeted it.
So
I assume he is still a part of like that family somehow.
Yeah. Existing contract expired. I guess he's still a coach then or something.
Yeah,
I don't know how it works. But...
Yeah, his player contract could have expired, but is he still a coach? I mean, we have no clue.
I don't know.
So with those players, you're already in a good spot, right? So now they're looking at retooling the support core. There are a ton of supports, right? In terms of free agents, whether it's main support or flex support. So the Outlaws looking to be a team that wants to, they said in the video with Jake, I don't know if you saw it, they're like, yeah, we're actually going to try and like win now. And this is definitely a move that would look to be going in that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. Like Dante and Pelican, those guys can cover everything. Like, I'm pretty sure you just need like those two DPS players and they'll be able to play like the entire...
Do you have like a Widow, Ashe...
They'll figure it out, Matt. They'll figure it out. No, but you're right.
Player.
You're right. Maybe you want like a hit scan specialist, which Happy in many ways was really good at.
Just get Ons. So then just put Ons on the bench. Make him specialist.
Ons is like your go-to hit scan player that you just add Ons. Like to every team in the league. Just add Ons.
Or if they got like Glister, just add Glister to the squad.
If you want to win a championship team and you're the Outlaws, do you want to see an announcement for Glister? Like, is that a player you strive to see on your roster?
What about Kai? Keep Kai and Pelican, like almost like take the DPS.
But they just signed the Atlanta Reign. It's like, what if they picked up Masa? Plenty of supports out there. Pick up Masa, pick up Iris,
Plus Dante and Piggy, the Atlanta Reign plus Dante and Piggy.
Hey, they made the grand finals this year. You're essentially signing a top 2 roster.
It could be worse. You could be some of the other teams the Outlaws have put together. I mean, yeah, I think this is good to see as like a fan of the Outlaws. Also, there's been some other teams who have made some really like good signings that I think this past year was really competitive for the league, but I think going into next year, it'll be a little bit of obviously like an even footing with Overwatch 2, right? kind of going into like a new game. But I also think teams are just going to stock up on just sick players. Yeah, you see no other players are involved in the transaction. So it's really just kind of like a buyout agreement transfer. You're just going to see teams put together the best rosters they can in terms of flexibility and talent. And I think you could end up with some nutty rosters like Twilight and Hisu, right, are still on Toronto. Well, Twilight goes to Toronto.
Yeah.
But
let's save the juice, for another episode. Let's save the juice.
That's true. We don't know where when Josh will be back. Eventually soon. He's
a wayward son, like he has to take the train back to Austin. You don't know how that's gonna go. I think he said it was like 3 separate trips to get back. So like he put together like 3 separate train trips. Like, he could end up anywhere. Maybe he'll take a bit of a diversion. Maybe he'll go up to like, I don't know, Virginia. I don't even know where Virginia is. Maybe he'll like maybe just take a trip all through the United States.
You would have to go past Texas. Very long. Kirk, you bring up a map of the U.S. Yes.
Oh my God! Dude. Holy
close to California. That is a very long distance. And
oh my goodness.
Yeah, he would pass Texas by a wide margin to then go back.
I thought Virginia was like up in like Wyoming or like South Dakota or something. Yeah.
I mean, that's terrible. I don't really know much about anything, and I still know where Virginia is.
Well, okay.
Today, me and Johnny are going to look at Virginia.
Oh my God.
It's right there on the right. Yep.
I mean, Virginia sounds like a state that could be by like Wyoming and South Dakota.
Why?
Like it sounds north,
Doesn't sound north.
Like I put Montana, I put like in the south because Montana sounds like a southern state.
Huh?
Yeah.
I mean, I can respect Johnny's opinions here. I get it. These are some underground states that no one talks about. And I do agree. Montana.
Underground states.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some oddball states.
Dude, Montana's huge and like 10 people live there. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that Montana is a fucking big state. I mean, for a state that's got nothing.
Is that their like capital in that state? Helena? I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I assume so, since Sacramento's the one in California.
Who just gives like a state capital? Who just gives it like a first name? Like imagine if the state capital of California was just like Eric.
They decided that shit ages ago, bro. There ain't no change to this. All you got to know about this map is the far left side and the far right side. That's about it. There's some stuff in the middle, There's some stuff in the middle. It's cool. Colorado's there.
Denver's pretty cool.
Texas,
we like Colorado. Yeah.
Been Arizona, Vegas. I've never been to Idaho. If any of our listeners are from Idaho, I apologize, but I feel like there's got to be nothing there. I mean, just cornfields and just nothing. So, there you go.
I'd love to do a foreheads thing. I mean, I know this is Plat chat, but just like we travel to each state and then we look around each state. That would be fun. A 52? No, I don't know how many states there are in America.
52.
Look, I'm not really working on my green card here, okay? But when I get to it, I can be inducted into the as an American citizen. But I haven't laid the groundwork yet. I'm gonna try.
How many states are there, Matt or Johnny?
I'm gonna guess 58. No, I don't know.
Just give us a guess.
I said 58. I'm gonna guess 58.
Okay. You're close.
Yeah, you're close. It's 50.
Yeah, you're in the ballpark. They would have given you credit for that.
I said 52 first, and then I was like, there's no shot. There's the same amount of states in the Americas. There are weeks in a year. Like, that would be an incredible coincidence, like 52 and 52. That no shot. So
is that how you tried to think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it would be memed to eternity. That someone would be like... Someone would make a comparison to like Montana and be like, Montana is the week of the year where it's like the 3rd week of October, Like I think that would have been meme to death if that was the case. Anyway, what are we doing here?
This week we are going to watch the Overwatch 2 matches that were not played at Grand Finals. Well, they were played at Grand Finals, just not live. These are ones that Mitch and I got to cast at a later date. And it's games that Overwatch League Pro players were playing in, and they got a chance to try out Overwatch 2. Johnny was in Hawaii, very close to Overwatch 2, but did not get a chance to try. What did that feel like for you?
Actually, I didn't mind it too much because I know eventually I'll be able to play the game. Cust, on the other hand, he had like tingly fingers, you know,
Yeah, the guy
like
was
he was
dying.
like, how am I not like, because they had very tight like COVID restrictions because we wanted it to be as seamless as possible, and it was incredibly seamless, you know, considering how many people we sent to Hawaii. You know, engineers, talent, all that stuff, players. And it was incredibly strict. But me and Costa, we couldn't go there because we were not allowed to be nearby the players. So Costa, he had the tingly fingers. He desperately wanted to get his hands on the game and play it. I like looking forward to it. You know, I'm a man of discipline, and I'm able to wait. I don't know what the word is. Like, I'm able to wait and look forward to it. And when I eventually get my hands on it, it's going to be thrilling, Matt.
Yeah, and also, I mean, this is like they mentioned 1,000 times, and like everybody on Reddit completely forgot. This is an early build. This does not have all of the stuff that they just talked about in like the Reddit AMA that the developers had.
So it's like hero pools on steroids.
In a way, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
you also probably have heroes in here who are gonna maybe not have like big reworks, right? Still, but they may just have like numbers tuned like crazy. This is New York. If you guys have not seen any of this footage yet,
I'm pretty sure everyone who's watching this episode has seen these videos. But ironically, I have not watched these videos before.
Really?
No, I have not done that. No, I've been very busy in the off season, going to K-Town, etc. But I initially wanted to do like a first impressions video, and here we are. And I'm doing first impressions with you, Matt.
Yeah. So this is going to be the shock on defense with the fuel here on offense. Fuel plus Jexay. But when this was going on, he was still there. I think the one thing that surprised me, Johnny, when I started watching a lot of this footage, I know people were like worried about D.Va, and this probably isn't the best portion here when Super probably, I think he gets DMAXed, but D.Va actually seems to be pretty strong in the fact that they gave her like a little bit more Matrix, it looks like. But then also she has the ability to duel any other character, like in like one-on-one type scenarios. Like she kind of has everything you would want, right? Mobility, damage, decent ultimate, good defensive. She kind of has it all.
Exactly. I mean, that's even what happens in Overwatch, like in 6 versus 6, right? Is you see a lot of Winston being played because he's so versatile. He can peel, he can dive extremely far, and do a lot of different things. And I think D.Va is in a perfect spot for that, especially with some buffs here. I like their comp even. Like, you want to play a spam comp with Mercy, and you got a D.Va that can use Matrix to, of course, build like spam advantage. You can dive in and finish off some of those targets. Like, okay, that was actually super getting finished off. But Hanbin is doing the same thing here for Dallas. So it's an interesting composition, and I mean, this is what we'll see more of. Like, you only have one tank now, so you're gonna miss that shield, and instead you'll see Divas have to play corners, utilize their Matrix to negate some of this damage.
It'll just be a big learning curve for people, right? Where I think it's so odd because, like, you look at this type of gameplay, and people are like, "Oh, it feels like, you know, maybe way more deathmatchy than like where we currently are with Overwatch," but like, remember when Overwatch like first came out, it was kind of a little bit like this, but it took a while for things to develop, and then all of a sudden everybody started playing Death Balls, where you haven't played this type of game in a very long time.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's like
there were very basic concepts, like either
Overwatch.
people who came into Overwatch at first, they either tried to play like Counter-Strike and like hold angles, which was very wrong. that was like, sorry, that's not gonna work out for you. Or the other choice was like shoot Mania and Quake, which is way more like free flowing, you know, because you jump around, you pick up armors, whatever, you spread around the map. And I feel like this is way more Quake in that regard, where like you're encouraged to like move around the map, create like angles, flank around your opponent, and there's no shields to block, of course, but you can still have input like this, where Violet is just like by himself. I don't think this is intentional, but you know, you're encouraged to spread around a bit more.
Well, I also Overwatch for a while now has been, from the damage dealer perspective, you're just kind of shooting at shields a lot. This is hilarious. A back cap in a game. Where both teams just kind of like have this like shield war and dance, right? And I think I always used to meme at it when we were at the Blizzard Arena and we were joking around about like shield management. Like, it's a concept that actually kind of like exists in pro play. But like to a normal fan, like they don't care about shield management. They just want to they just want to shoot stuff, right?
Yeah. It's like,
Uh,
hey, I'm Reinhardt and I'm standing around this corner for 5 seconds because I don't have a shield. It's like that's not super interactive, you know. It'll probably exist to some extent because we're bound to get like an Orisa or a Reinhardt meta in Overwatch 2's lifetime. Because I think it's gonna be a cycle. Like you're gonna have Wrecking Ball metas, you're gonna have Diva metas, you're gonna have Reinhardt metas.
but
So
that's fine though.
it'll be
right?
a thing, but it won't be as extreme as it has been at the last couple of years in Overwatch.
Yeah, and I think when you had the 6-on-6 and the 2 tanks, it becomes very difficult, right? Because you're either you've almost seen it kind of be cyclical now. It's like you either end up with like very strong aggressive comps or you just end up with double shield, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of the two things that you end up with coalesce around. Is it's a nice pulse bomb there. From Sparkle is I don't know if you can hear some of the stuff, but the actual like gun sounds and everything.
Can you hear it? I cannot.
All of the gun sounds, they sound so good. Like
Yeah.
the Tracer one, and specifically the Soldier 76.
Matt, we're
didn't
hearing you
watch the
twice
videos. Sorry?
Sorry. We're just hearing Matt twice because he's
Oh, 'cause I'm
commentating
casting
as
as
well.
well.
Okay. Oh, that's not gonna be.
You can mute it. You can mute it. Johnny will just get Johnny the audio files of the gun sounds.
Yeah. Wait, what? I can put that on my own PC and it won't be a problem. But anyway, I haven't watched the videos yet, but I read some of the comments, you know, like looking into what people thought of it. And it seemed to be like a lot of people were like, I don't really like Soldier's gun sound because it's too realistic. Like it's, you know, it's a video game and all the gun sounds are apparently like sounding super sick. But like they show that video, right? How they captured the new sounds,
Yeah.
etc. And it's from real guns in like real life scenarios, and they change depending on where you are, etc. And they're like, Soldier's gun is just too real. Like it just sounds too much like a gun, and it looks like a Lego piece.
Seeing somebody like Doha play this Sombra, like it is so disgusting.
Yeah.
Like the ability to like hack.
I mean,
get
Matt, you gotta admit, she's overpowered in the current state here.
Oh, I mean, yeah. But honestly, though, I much rather see them start at that place than like have them be underpowered, right? Like, I think the philosophy of like, okay, like we can adjust the numbers, like, however, right? Is she fun though as a character? Like, she looks fun. I think Sombra is like very fun in pro play because you set up your team for these awesome things. In just kind of like competitive quick play, like just kind of out there in the wild, she's not really great because she relies so heavily on teammates. Now it's like a little bit back to where she can be a solo playmaker. And I don't know if you realize this, the green health, that is representing everything over base HP now. So like Brig Rally, Sound Barrier, Adaptive Shield, like that'll all be like green health.
Yeah.
So you kind of know how much like over, I guess, the threshold they are. And I mean that Transcendence gets forced out here straight away.
Yeah. It's a good dive though. I mean, that was a huge EMP.
But
That
like
was
this
popping
is
off over. Well, what you said about Sombra, I want to go back to that because we actually talked about this with Super in Space when they were on Plat Chat, and I said that as well, that, you know, like the damage numbers are insane, but I like how the hero plays. Like you're able to hone in on a single target. Like you're essentially marking a target, and that is the target you single in on, and it creates like a very fun dive setting where, of course, you just dive in Overwatch 6 versus 6, and you're like, hey, we're going to dive for Diana, or we're going to dive for the Zenyatta, because, you know, that's how it goes. But giving some bonus damage, like if you hack a Diva or something, I think it just creates a very fun dive environment where you can actually mark a target for extra damage. So
right. And
it's a fun hero.
you see, this will be Dallas that actually complete the map. In between, while we're getting some of these maps like set up, as I think we go into the second half there, Kurt. There are some interesting things that were mentioned in the developer AMA that I can bring up and just kind of like read off some of the questions that Jeff Goodman and Josh No answered. Where one person asked, "Do you foresee any heroes changing roles, or would you like to keep everyone where they're at?" They said this is something that they're experimenting with and talking a lot about. No heroes moved roles yet, although they have now started to test Doomfist as a tank.
Yeah.
Where his kit is obviously full of crowd control mobility, which makes it difficult to tune and balance him as a DPS. As a tank, he can keep some of those properties to his kit since those fit nicely into the tank role.
Yeah.
Which I actually said this to Chelsea, my wife. I was like, oh yeah, they said that they may try Doomfist as a tank in Overwatch 2, and she's like, when Doomfist first got announced and like shown, she thought he was going to be a tank. Like
Yeah.
he kind of like had like the whole part in the video like where like he holds the fist up and he's blocking bullets and like I think it'd be interesting if he was a tank, almost in like the wrecking ball nature, right, of just displacement.
Yeah, 100%. I think that will be really interesting, and I think I really agree with what they said in that AMA as well. That it's hard to balance like his damage numbers because obviously like you have a punch and that's supposed to one-shot people a lot of the time in the way a DPS plays. But if you're actually playing him as a tank and he does like half the damage he does now and just disorients people, like lift them up, like uppercut them and they fly up in the air, and you can utilize that for your Widowmaker or your Pharah or whatever to displace them. That's essentially what I want tanks to be in Overwatch 2. So it very much makes sense for Doomfist to be
disruptors, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, Super picked up Roadhog now. I don't know how Roadhog really plays in Overwatch 2, but like his kit is almost a bit DPS-y, Like what if you wanted
I feel like Roadhog is going to be... Yeah, I feel like, because you see here, right, Super coming out on the Roadhog. In 5v5, we talk about how much a kill means. And with Roadhog's just ability, I mean, to do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to give your team a kill, like...
That's strong as a tank.
Yeah, that's strong right there, yeah. People are like, Roadhog might not be that strong as a solo tank. And it's like, if your solo tank can grip people towards him and one-shot them, I would say that there's some type of use for him in some capacity. Like, it may not be all of the time, right? But there's got to be some use for him in terms of the tank role. This will be the
popping
Echo
off here.
Duplicate, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's getting right in there. But another thing that they mentioned was that on the tank, they're testing his rocket punch to create an area knockback around the target he impacts, so you can knock back multiple enemies.
All
into
right.
walls, I guess.
Yeah.
But then what was interesting is somebody asked if he doesn't work as a tank, would he remain a DPS with the same kit? They said that's tricky, to be honest. In a world where almost crowd control has been removed from non-tanks, Doomfist would become a huge outlier.
Yeah.
Like, maybe there's a way you could exist as a DPS with less displacement and crowd control, but it would certainly be a challenge to make work, which makes it sound like if he did have to be a DPS, they would have to change his kit, which I completely agree. I mean, there's no way you could be like, we're going to take up that as...
Glister. That was shades of like Shock in June, That was bench Glister right
that
there.
Pulse Bomb sums up the Shock season.
Yeah.
Super, though, with the 2K. C probably hopes that there'll be a Roadhog meta in Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, no way you could keep Doomfist's abilities the way they are. If you're going to say...
But I like Doomfist as he is. I mean, I just don't like the one-shot mechanic, So, like, keep the abilities and just, use him to displace and stuff like that. I'm looking at this gameplay right here. I mean, this is the first time I'm seeing it. And I'm just like, if I saw Doomfist fly in here and just boot people around, that would be perfect for Tayo playing the soldier and, like, being able to track targets who... Obviously, like, if you're in the air and you lose control, it's so easier to shoot people. So... I'd love to see that. Super is just playing this Roadhog like a menace, jumping around on obstacles.
So what if
now it's gonna go below?
What if you kept Doom as a DPS, right? Hear me out. You take away his primary fire, and you give him like another punch. So he's got seismic slam,
like a jab.
Maybe let's call it a jab. You got like a jab, then you got the big rocket punch, and then you have the seismic slam and the uppercut. What if they lower the damage? But the more consecutive abilities you hit, like he like ramps up in terms of damage and shielding, like he becomes harder to take down, but then he also, his abilities start to hit harder. Like almost like you're playing a fighting game where you have to like land combos, right?
Oh.
The more
what about you could like
abilities?
Get up on obstacles and like body slam people? And just like or maybe just like grab people and just walk around and like
tombstone pile drive people. Sure, why not?
Doomfist's brother comes in.
Yeah,
the wrestling version.
Yeah, while we're at
that would make for
let's...
epic Halloween skins. I'm just saying, if you had a character that could tombstone someone, I mean, there is unlimited potential there. Anyway, Super is trying to play this Roadhog. That looked like a miserable experience. He used his hook. It was a true Roadhog experience. He used his hook, and then he failed, and then he died. That's what he did.
Had like a 3K with the mines earlier.
Yeah.
I think what also interests me about Overwatch 2 is the changes that are going to happen with supports. In this build, like they mentioned, there's like the 25% healing reduction once combat begins.
Yeah, they said that we're gonna get rid of that, right?
Yeah, and Jeff Goodman talked about like why that was even a thing. Pretty much, it's like they wanted to look at like nerfing healing pretty much across the board instead of just going and nerfing every individual hero, right? And trying to like all those numbers and coding and whatnot, like just put in a big blanket nerf to healing, right? And see how that goes before just starting to mess with individual heroes. But I believe they said that like that's like the flat healing nerf kind of like that's already kind of like gone. It was pretty much an experiment, but I think they are a little bit cautious about healing because like healing became I mean, it's kind of like just evolved with Overwatch over time where like tanks became stronger, healers became stronger, they started to dominate the game, where I don't think they want that to happen again, where
yeah, I think it was a bit too much. I mean, you just looked at that gameplay, and congratulations to the Dallas Fuel on successfully winning New York against the San Francisco Shock. I mean, I think that's decent gameplay, right? I think with the removal of one tank and you only have one tank left, I feel like the effects of healing is going to be fine because they're naturally going to generate less ultimate charge, right? Because there's one less tank to heal, and I think that actually scales quite well with support ultimates setting at 5 versus 5 setting. So I don't really think the healing reduction is necessary. I think this gameplay by itself, and this is morning Dorado, or is it sunrise or
daytime?
It's daytime. Oh, it's just daytime. The sun looked like it was going down. I'm just saying.
Well, I actually agree. Like, I actually love the less ultimates in the game. I know people were kind of like asking about that. I don't think the game should be a game where you have an ultimate every single fight. I mean, think of it right now.
No, not every fight, but every other. Ultimately, I think this is an ability game, Matt. Like, it's not like Counter-Strike. I like ultimates. I think it makes you feel strong. Like when you play a hero and you get to use your abilities in your ult.
If you have an ultimate every fight, or I would say even every other fight, it just decreases the value of those ultimates.
I don't know. I think
like you see it so many times that
I'm gonna have to disagree here, man. I think one of the most fun parts about Overwatch is just like strategizing on like how you want to utilize your ultimates and like how you engage off of them. So like, hey, you have a primal rage as a Winston. How do I enable my team with this primal rage? Or like, hey, I'm a Zenyatta and I have Transcendence coming up for this, whatever. Like you put resources into your team for the upcoming fight depending on what ultimates you have. And I think that, I mean, I'm biased here because I'm a tank, right? I'm not taking part in this Tracer madness like we see Sparkle just going off like right now. I'm not DPS player hard, so I don't know if you people in the comments disagree. Like, leave a comment saying what you think about ultimates and like how they play a part. Obviously, I like my abilities and my ultimates because I think they're a large part of like how I approach team fights and stuff.
I think it's got to be a balance where, like, you look at where everybody's at here, like after 2 team fights, right? Like,
well, there's been a minute, right?
Yeah, so it's been about a minute, but you were what 50% to a nano on both sides, pretty much. Like, I mean, I think that's fine. Like. And it's also they said they actually didn't really touch any of the ultimate kind of charging, but it affects because the tank passive is shooting tanks generate less ult charge. There's obviously one less tank, and then with the healing, right? You can just have 2 healers just kind of focus on one tank. I
mean, poor Jexay. He only has one tank to heal. It's in a dive comp, and he has 40% after a minute and a half. I mean, maybe he died early or something, but the poor guy. I mean, was he was cut?
Well, maybe start doing damage. Maybe start hitting people.
Oh my lord! You want people being Lee going out here 24/7? Those early IDK days. I'm just saying it wasn't.
Well, see,
it wasn't the glory days.
Mind that. Like, you shouldn't just be able to sit there and like amp heal and just passively get an ultimate or like fast, right? like you should have to like contribute with like decent amounts of damage from even.
It's been 2 minutes. He's estimated to get an ultimate when it's like 20 seconds left in the game, Matt.
Well, I mean, he's got to get in the kill feed. I don't know
He's
what
an
you want him to
Overwatch
do.
player.
I mean, get in the feed, start killing people.
I mean, yeah, maybe it's that a lot. I don't know, but
start popping off. I don't know.
Tyre goes over to the far as well. Wow, this is. I'm gonna be honest. I'm looking at this gameplay, Matt, and I'm very excited about next year. And I'm just not saying that because like I'm paid by the Overwatch League or whatever. Like I'm genuinely excited to see 5 versus 5 professional Overwatch.
Well, I think seeing it on these old maps was really good for people because, you know, this still looks like Overwatch, right?
Yeah.
Like just because like you've lost, like the fights are happening in the same spot on the map, and it's just there's more freedom for players to operate. You see,
I mean, one of the things I said about the showcasing for the finals was that like it was on push as well, which is naturally, I think, like a game mode that lends itself to skirmishing and like, you know, a lot of the like deathmatch kind of gameplay. And so it was just like very hard to follow in that regard. But like everyone knows Dorado at this point, and they can naturally see that like, yes, it is more deathmatchy because you're 5 players, but there's still an objective to follow, and I think the viewers can relate to that before they get their hands on push themselves, you know, eventually. Yeah. So I mean that's like huge. That's 1 kill. That's massive. I mean, 3 versus 5, impossible to come back from that. So
I mean, yeah, your Tracer getting behind in a game like this and just picking up 2 kills is like unreal. I do wonder as well if you know, not having the ultimate charge rates be very high increases the likelihood one would be able to change characters really without being penalized.
So you're saying if you're like 60% on Lucio or like 40%, like are you saying you'd want to swap more because ultimates don't matter?
Yeah, because maybe ultimates are like less, you know, not obviously less impactful, but less necessary, let's say, to win fights. Where like Overwatch 1, like you need ultimates pretty much. Like, how many fights do we see in the Overwatch League outside of the first one that are one with like 0 ultimates used by both teams? Like, probably none. Yeah. Like, you may actually be in a position where, hey, if we have Tac Visor, let's say, that is enough to win the next fight. We can make a support line change, or we can make a tank change and not feel as penalized as sometimes you would feel currently.
Okay, but here's another counterpoint to you. I think watching ultimates play out is one of the more fun things about Overwatch. Obviously, there's like Widowmakers, and you see Widowmakers just go off, get like 3-4 kills. That's amazing. Love that. Instant highlight, post on Twitter, farm the likes. But
farm the likes.
But I still think like pulse bombs here, like pulse bomb by Sparkle, like we're following this pulse bomb. We're seeing, does he hit someone? He didn't. But that was like a moment. There was like a build up to that moment and a story, and it's like a big thing. That's where I think ultimates are good, in that it like creates something to look to. Whereas just seeing like a soldier, imagine if Doa didn't have this ultimate, we'd just be watching a soldier just spam and
I mean it's but I think that's kind of where like the more aim and skill kind of take over, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying it's not as fun.
Well, I mean,
it's a gameplay experience. I don't think it's fun.
Where it's just like support ultimates. Like from what we've seen thus far, I think like really, and even when I say support ultimates, it's really just been like the Lucio, right? It's just been difficult to, you know, maybe he needs a little bit more.
Jexay is struggling. I think, does he only have 1 sound barrier so far?
I mean, you see that just snipe there from Super and then the finish.
Oh yeah, he has like an extra ability, right? Super talked about this. Like
the right click. Yeah, you charge up like 25, I think, of the cannon, and it's I believe it's 25 like ammo, and then it does like, I think it's 25 meters in terms of range. I think it's 50 damage, but yeah, I mean that's a sick ability. I think in the BlizzCon line stream when we were talking with Jeff, he had mentioned there's even like tech that you can do, or I don't think we've seen any of the players do it, but like if you load up that shot and like Winston jump, land the shot like melee, you can almost like insta kill the smaller targets.
Jesus.
Because what, Winston leap is how much damage? 50, right?
I don't think it's quite 50, is it? Is it
25? It's either 25 or 50, probably. A melee is what, 25?
Oh my god. Yeah, no, melee is like 30.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up these numbers now.
No, I'm.
Oh,
We're losing credibility by the minute, Matt, because we don't know.
look, I'm not a mathematician. I didn't make Winston. I don't know. Yeah, no, I was right. So the landing of the Winston jump pack does 1 to 50, right?
Oh, okay. It scales. All right.
So let's say you get the full 50.
We
What's
were
up,
both
watch?
right, Matt. We were both right.
Melee does 30 damage, and then this shot would do 50. So that's 130 straight up right there. No, you jump up.
Señoras are gonna be sad.
You
I'm
land
telling
on
you.
a Zen, right? You got a tracer there with you. I mean, that is a
it's gonna
sick
suck.
combo to like land on somebody.
And you're trying to take trans away from this Señora? Come on. Man.
Yes.
Poor Sen.
Look.
Look, and it has the fucking scatter arrow, the scatter arrow symbol, just to add, insult to injury.
It's something though that Winston desperately didn't have in his kit, where like sometimes you'd be stuck in the bubble and you're like, I can get this kill, but if I walk out of my bubble, I'm dead. Where now he can actually kind of like fire back.
I love the way you said that as well. Like, justice for Winston. Like, Winston can finally hold his own. Like, Winston's all over the world. They've been sad about being stuck in their bubbles. And now they can fight for themselves. This is for all the Winstons, all the homies.
And then, obviously, that Bastion change is in this build. We haven't seen any Bastion.
Yeah, didn't hear raving reviews about the new Bastion from.
So I think the kit is cool.
The kit is cool, but not the numbers, they said.
Right. So some changes that Jeff Goodman said they've already made is that he moves faster in the sentry form, which I think is one of the complaints that Super and Space had, right?
Yeah.
And then his ultimates start dropping faster. Though the projectile moves slower, so you can see it.
Did you hear my idea, Matt?
What?
Did you hear my idea about the ultimate?
No.
No, okay. I said that I don't like that you have to like schedule out all three and then the ultimate is over. I wanted a left click and a right click feature. So you can left click to like plan it out. So you can left click too to plan them out, but then you can like right click to drop it instantly without having to schedule. So I mean, look, I think it's a brilliant idea, because then you can schedule out 2 to force enemy movement, and then you can drop the third like where they go.
I mean, that is
what a hook. Jesus.
But then they also said that they increased his rate of fire on the actual just like primary fire.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
So
it was a bit slow earlier. It was like a pea shooter,
But some of those changes combined with the grenade, I think the grenade is super cool, being able to like bounce it off of walls, and it seems like it does a decent amount of damage. So
that was fun. Raving reviews about the bouncing ball thing.
Yeah.
People like that, so.
And one of the things they mentioned is that one of the heroes they thought would actually be pretty strong, but I think the pro said was Zarya, where
the bubbles thing,
keep an eye on her. Yeah.
I saw someone on Reddit or whatever. They wanted Zarya to be able to use her energy and like get rid of it onto a teammate. So if you're like 80 charge, you can use like 40 to send a bubble to your teammate or something. I don't know. But I mean, she doesn't have a ton of utility as it stands. So maybe they'll give her a shotgun or something. I don't know.
Well, she's built for like
a beam shotgun. Boo! Like
she's
Halo.
Built for being like more of a backline healer.
What if they gave her that Halo gun? Like the needler. You can just like
needler.
Yeah, you can just stick with a purple beam. You can just stick nades on there. I mean, look, man. I'm trying to help out here, Matt. You're on the Overwatch League team. Maybe you know people. I'm just trying to help you out, Matt. Oh my god, what a pulse by Sparkle.
I mean, I had an idea where like, I mean, this would fundamentally. I mean, Zarya could be a super cool support.
No, come off it. No.
In terms of so hear me out. You'd have to like remove the ability to gain charge, right? But like
remove the ability to gain charge. The one unique thing about the hero.
So the bubbles maybe were like obviously a damage reduction, but when the bubbles pop, they do some type of like AoE healing type of thing.
Okay. Are there more abilities, or is that just it?
You'd probably have to change your ultimate as well, because it doesn't really fit as support. But maybe it's
What
not
if
Zara,
graviton
maybe
surge, but it
maybe there
heals?
should be a,
So you
maybe
can
there should
grab
be
your
some kind of-
teammates and they all get sucked in and they get healed as they're in the graviton surge.
That's no.
That's not.
There should be. I think it would be kind of cool though to see a support that was more damage mitigation or damage reduction. Like
I thought we talked about this. Yeah, like
almost like a support that like had the ability to give fortify to people, almost like in the sense that. I mean, hey, that would be pretty good against Doomfist, right? If you could give other teammates fortify so they don't get knocked around.
I mean, I guess that's maybe like Brig because she gives armor, right?
Yeah,
And armor
possibly.
is damage reduction. Anyway, so Shock here, they're struggling on the offense, Matt.
Yes.
And now they're playing Soldier, Tracer, and Rhine.
Which okay.
This is a bit reminiscent of like 2017. Oh, that pulls blows.
And
That sucks.
there goes
Sparkle
Pulsar.
is popping off, by the way.
Oh, he played sick in all these tests that
Yeah.
we saw. I think things like Reinhardt and heroes like that are probably going to be very map dependent.
Yeah.
And I think we've actually seen
Oh
it
my
as a
God.
sick buy on it. I mean, my lord.
He's so sad.
We've seen, I think, really over the years with Overwatch, and specifically this year more than anything, like the picks of compositions come down to like map dependency in a way, right? Of like what map we're on. I think that's going to be even more in Overwatch 2, right? Like a map like this, like with this current balance, right? Which, obviously very early build. Look at Reinhardt here trying to make a way to the card. I mean, there are players every direction he looks, right? You're going to have to probably, game plan a bit differently for some of these maps.
Yeah. I mean, Reinhardt can kind of work there, but I guess they just needed to dive a bit more aggressive. And I mean, they try their damnedest, but
or play a bit more like static. One of the questions was about the playtests, asking how they were run. And who did Super in Space say? The lady?
The lady, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't want to name drop in case she
so
prefers
she has
to
a
be
name. Her name
anonymous.
is Amy.
Yes,
she has a Twitter as well, which she probably would hate us to plug. But her Twitter is, I think it's it's aim soup. Like you're aiming at a bowl of soup. And that is the lady. She has a name. She's the senior esports producer for Overwatch. She had mentioned that there's 2 rounds of play tests for some players. 4 out of the 5 teams play tested with their own rosters without us providing any rules suggestions. The players were encouraged to try any role or any hero they'd like with no restrictions. For the second round, when they were recording, they asked players to stick to their Overwatch League roles and rotate through heroes so the community could see a wide range of heroes who look like at the highest level. There weren't any specific try 3 hero rules, but we asked that they generally switch around and try different comps. So just to give the fans a little bit of taste of everything. It seems like Diva and that dive was pretty strong there.
Yeah.
From Dallas. I believe the last map that we have is Havana. So Havana gets a little bit of a redo. That's at nighttime.
Do we get a bit more? Oh my God, it's gorgeous. I love nighttime maps. Like
you can really
Dorado
see
at night. King's Row is kind of dark. I love the
lighting,
dark mode maps.
The lighting looks so good with just kind of the through the windows and the just kind of street lights.
Do you think there will be like certain maps that people, because people have hot takes about Halloween Eichenwalde. Do you think there will be certain maps where people are like, oh, it's 9 a.m. in the morning. I'm playing Overwatch because I said I was sick and couldn't go to school, but in reality I'm healthy and I just want to play Overwatch. Oh shit, I'm loading into daytime King's Row. I hate daytime King's Row, Matt. It's the worst.
Yeah, but okay, so
nighttime Gibraltar. It's a sniper map, but I can't see shit. It's dark.
I understand the complaints with like Halloween because they add a bunch of shit and like there's pumpkins in the way
pumpkins,
now, like what the fuck. I mean, this isn't adding anything outside of just changing the time of day. Like you're not like there's no like Christmas trees that they're adding like the nighttime. So now we see Bastion. So this is obviously the new Sentry form, which they mentioned that
without the increased speed. So
without
he's moving a bit faster now.
But yet again, though, I feel like it's a cool direction with his kit. Like Bastion was never like with the way Overwatch is and how important mobility is. Like he was never going to find a place with the way that he was. Right?
I mean, he might still not, but with his new kit, you can at least design some kind of metas. And it deserves saying as well that his current kit in Overwatch 1, I mean, it's frustrating. Like, you never look forward to facing a Bastion. At least with this current kit, you can make Bastion meta without it being too annoying for the enemy team. And ultimately, I think that's, what happens with Sombra too. You want to make them fun to play, but also funnier to play against. Because ultimately, that's how you get like an enjoyable game. So, oh my god, what a pin!
I mean, that is the Reinhardt with the double fire strike. I mean, we haven't talked about that, right? And then the ability to be able to control the charge a bit better. Oh,
yeah.
Man. Hugo was just underneath me as I put my foot down.
Yeah.
It's just like a completely different way. But I think though, just generally the design and kind of like the philosophy and everything they've talked about, I've been super happy with. Like, baseline, make the characters fun, right? Figure out like the numbers and whatnot after, because there's a bunch of heroes in Overwatch 1 where you kind of were like, like Bastion's funny in Overwatch 1 just because it's a meme, right? Like, it's not like
when you play him, yeah.
But
you're like, I'm gonna TP to the top of the statue in King's Row and then giggle to myself.
Yeah, but you're never kind of like in a serious position to play him. But even now, right? Like, Sim gets a decent amount of play, and Sim's been pretty fun. Torbjorn is hilarious and fun in all different types of scenarios. Like, there aren't that many heroes that have kind of been in a spot in Overwatch currently.
I know it's very off topic, but do you kind of miss the Torbjorn level turret?
Oh my god, I watched a video
level
the
up
other day.
Torbjorn turret to level 3.
The level 3, and then you could give out the armor scraps.
Yeah.
You could give out armor packs, and then his ultimate.
Armor here!
His ultimate put him to like fucking 9.
Do you remember when you had like the max resource and you just like put out like 6 armors in a clump and you just like, come here, pick up the armors?
I joked, before the PvP stream with Jeff Goodman, I was like, remember when Symmetra could give teammates shields, had 6 turrets, auto locked on, and had a global teleport. You could put it in your spawn and put it like all the way across the map, and people were like, she's useless. Like imagine if you introduce a hero with that kit today, people would just go bonkers. Yeah. They would lose it.
I actually had this conversation with Costa kind of recently, like towards the end of the season, because no one played Symmetra when it really came out, except for Internet Hulk. Internet Hulk did it for Envy, but no one else played Symmetra because they didn't see the use. Like, Symmetra at the time, it was the equivalent of a 3-pointer in NBA. No one bothered about it. It was like, this is useless, like I don't want to shoot 3-pointers, low percentage.
And then she had
when you get people come out and just rock up with Symmetra, you're like, holy shit.
And then she had 2 ultimates, right? Remember she had the shield gen?
Oh my god, and the teleport, you have to pick one.
The shield gen and the teleporter. And they gave
we got an Overwatch 2 unveiling here, and we're talking about 2016, bro. Like, we've gone back in time where we're looking at future games. Yeah. What is going on? I'm losing pixels. It's a travesty. I
mean, that is a crazy one there. As you see the holding up close still obviously works here.
Gray
Havana.
hair now.
I'm sorry, Johnny. We wanted to make you into a scene kid.
I look like Bren's new hair color.
I was gonna say it's Bren. No, I think obviously we didn't get a chance to see the end of the Havana map because they obviously didn't go very far, but it does look really good.
Okay, I'm back.
There you go. Johnny's back.
Last week's episode was so scuffed. You two were lucky you weren't there. It was an absolute disaster. So this is a million times better.
Kurt only show up for the good shit, right, Kurt?
I wasn't there because I was just sleeping.
Okay.
I was in LA. You should have went, Matt. Why didn't you go?
No.
I was sleeping because I was working all day the day before.
Yeah.
I don't like human interaction in person. I just don't like it. Yeah. I'm very comfortable with being at home.
You are content with our dystopian society.
Yep. I'm content with talking to you guys through my screen here. And once or twice a year seeing everybody.
Nice.
I saw Kurt when he was here.
Yeah, I miss you, Johnny. It wasn't really fun meeting you, Matt.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I didn't get to see Kurt. I miss
you
too, Kurt. I didn't get to see you. You just didn't line up. It happens.
So
Oh,
we
wow.
see now the shock try and come out, run the bastion offense. The grenade is a long distance, man. Uh we've seen some brig, and they talked about some of the brig changes where the shields lost the stun.
Yeah.
Uh it can go through barriers again. It deals more damage now.
Just look at this guy.
I mean, the bastion's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I also think May, like, maybe not obviously on the chase here, but I think with even like just kind of using her primary as like a flamethrower almost. I think with like damage boost and other types of thing, it's gonna be
It's an
mad
ice
strong.
thrower.
Yeah. The shield bash damage, it deals more damage, but it also triggers inspire, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Means just basically you'd have inspire up at all times.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So you see, this is Hanbin chasing them down to the spawn.
Mm.
I think Zen looked to be playing really good in these. Like Discord seemed to be pretty strong, which is something I think they mentioned that they're going to keep an eye on.
I mean, I kind of like how volatile the game is, or like how vulnerable you are, how fragile you are. And I think with Discord already, even like it's gonna be very fun.
I think that's kind of the way you would put it. It's
These
more
dives
lethal.
are so much fun to watch with Sombra, Soldier, Diva. I love this.
And I think though, even if Discord's like a bit strong, I think it kind of makes sense for Zen in the capacity that he's really like a glass cannon, right?
Yeah.
This is a Transcendence, trying to keep it alive.
Well, now it's
here.
the opposite. He's invulnerable.
Now he would be the opposite. He is actually unkillable at this moment. But he should have like a trade-off, right? Like he shouldn't be able to have Discord and also be kind of like tanky. Like his trade-off is he gets blown up by the sparkles of the
Literally
world
anything.
on Tracer,
Literally
right?
anything that touches him. Oh, what a stick! Glister, man. This guy is a free agent, right? Pick him up. You said it earlier. Glister to Houston. Make it happen. No?
Glister to Houston. Make it happen. But yeah, those are obviously outside of the push. Those are the game modes that we were able to have the pro players play test in Hawaii. I'm a big fan of seeing it played on the older maps, just because you get a better idea of like the flow of the game.
Yeah.
And I think it just kind of, at least for me, it reminds me of like Overwatch 1 almost like release, where remember how fast and aggressive the release Overwatch was? I remember getting matched up against like Internet Hulk, Moon, and Esper.
Moon.
On like multiple times in like one sitting, to the point that Internet Hulk would message me and tell me not to queue until they found the game, because obviously they were just so tired of beating our ass. But like you played like the double Winston, double Tracer, double Lucio, like and obviously those compositions were stupid because you had so many of the same hero.
Oh, that's very dumb.
But just the speed in which it played was just so much fun. And being able to take like duels on the side here and different duels on the side elsewhere. I think you just felt like you had more control over the game, where I think that looks like, at least from those, kind of where we're headed back towards.
I think it'll take some time, for sure. And then I think, maybe like a year into the game, I think it will actually kind of like settle. It will calm down a bit, because I think 5 versus 5 will come out and everyone will be like, this is FFA, this is crazy. Like DPS are just like flanking all the time, and a bit like, play like Baby Bay or Bunny or whatever, like super aggressive. But I think within a year, and no matter if you're like Grandmaster or you're Diamond or you're even like Silver, I think those players will still recognize their limitations and how much they can flank and how far they can go. And I think you'll still get some of that teammate kind of chemistry going. And I think it ultimately will end up like a team game. So I think even though you remove a tank, I don't think it's going to be like, one skirmish over here and one dude goes for a flank, a Tracer, and like I don't think the game will become individualistic as 5 versus 5. I actually think within a year the game is going to return to like a teamwork normal.
I think even shorter than a year. I think with how much the players and teams are gonna like play and practice, right? You're gonna see, and it may not even be like a meta, right? But it'll be like a new kind of foundation of how you play and how you use the teamwork and utilize it to win games, where it's not going to be, hey, just copy the same strategies and formulas we used in Overwatch 1. Uh, it'll be a bit different. And do you see just maybe the fights are way faster and there's more of them, right? Maybe that's kind of like, hey, it's the fights are similar to Overwatch 1, but there's more of them, it's faster, and there's more room for individual impact with less ultimates. Like that's a great spot to end up in.
I'd love to I'd love to hear if the devs have messed around with like spawn timers, like because you're less people on a team, right? And especially if you like if it is as important as we've said it is, that you get a pick early, you've kind of won the fight already. You know, maybe if you reduce the spawn time from, I don't know what it's like now, 10 to like 8 or 7, or maybe, I mean, maybe it changes the tempo of the game a bit. It's just I'd love to hear what they think about the tempo of the game.
It's interesting
Because
I wonder. I'm sure like the spawn locations are probably designed with time to respawn and get back in mind, because you just wouldn't want to create, Temple of Anubis over and over again.
Yeah.
But
True.
yeah, I mean,
That would
maybe
be a
it's
problem.
something, huh?
Luckily, no assault anymore.
Yeah, but maybe it's something though where you can kind of tweak with that, right? And maybe that's something that's game mode dependent, right? Where certain game modes have different timers than other ones, just via what works in maps. I think they do have to be kind of careful, and you walk a tightrope of making the game too fast. Like I think right now it probably is in a really good spot in terms of pacing. I think if you move the spawn timers, you probably end up messing with some of kind of the maps and design. I actually think
and maybe like if you reduce the spawn time, maybe you encourage dying too much to a point where like, hey, you actually died, you have to wait for your turn, like you get punished,
right? Because otherwise your life just means nothing, right? If you're back in 3 seconds, like who cares?
It's interesting.
I'd actually like to see them just explore more with like map design. I think the way they can really impact the meta is, maybe not through hero balance, which I think you can through hero balance, but I think a much like healthier version of that would to be get the heroes in a good spot and then have maps where certain heroes are better situationally than others. And I think you saw that with New York, where like you have a lot of open area at the beginning with some high ground that you can kind of move around to. And then as we go towards that second part of the map, you have like that, kind of classic Overwatch, right? Like narrow choke by the bridge, one option on the to go up on the top, where maybe you need some kind of shield and you're playing a little bit more static in that area. And then the last area just has so much high ground and so much open space that you can play more aggressive styles of comps, where I think I'd love to see them experiment more with that from like point to point on certain maps, adjust the kind of landscape of them, which will play into certain compositions, which that'll play right into certain hero strengths, right? I think it's much easier to kind of look at a point and say, okay, like which heroes do we want to be like viable or good on this, and then figure out like, okay, like, oh, we want this to be more of like a Widowmaker sniper dive type of area. Like, let's just create like crazy open sight lines, or let's give areas where Reinhardt can kind of like hold his shield down and kind of get to spots safely and then move up to make him like aggressive. So I'd love to see them adjust like maps and just kind of play around with that, because I think that's something that we've really learned this year, is that even with hero pools out, the meta was still completely open based off the map pool. So maps are really important.
Yeah. I think that might have been your best Plat chat rant ever.
What do you
mean? That was a good rant. Like you ranted about how map design is important. I think that was a good rant. Maybe not like a rant because you were passive, like you've had like half your caffeine of the day. But I think that was a good string of thoughts, man.
Yeah,
I completely agree with you. There we go.
It's something that they kind of did in Call of Duty, where they realized.
Okay,
like,
now you're pushing it, but I'm
well, okay, but Call of Duty, you can't buff a shotgun to make it work on like, have you ever played like Crossroads, like from fucking Modern Warfare? You're not going to buff a shotgun to be viable there. You have to create environments where if you want these guns to be playable and viable, create environments where they are viable. That's why they created Shipment, because it's like, that big, and you could just run around with a shotgun and nobody cares. But no, they started designing maps and areas on maps where you could use these guns, and it's viable. You're not just, getting flamed by teammates for being an idiot for running a shotgun.
Yeah.
They kind of need to do the same here, where hey, like there's certain areas of certain maps where if you play compositions, and I think a game mode like push actually probably helps with that, because the objective is constantly moving in both directions, and there's so much of the area they use is like flanking spaces, and I think they can get really creative with what they do with that. But yeah, to be able to utilize some of that space where you can create avenues where heroes can become effective.
I mean,
cool.
I think to sort of wrap this up, I guess, I think one of the things about Overwatch 1 balance and how we're at the place we are now, where I think it's really balanced and it is very map dependent, like you said. Part of that is buffing and nerfing heroes accordingly and get to a good state of the game, but also having the maps where like you can have Widowmaker shine, whether it's like first point on Junkertown or even like second point, with some long range stuff. And then you have certain maps where dive with Genji really excels.
Where you get to like a Nepal and you're like, hey, I can run like Mei here, right? And maybe you don't run Mei on certain other maps.
It's a multifaceted problem, and they've really struck a balance in Overwatch 1. And I think it's going to take some time for that to happen in Overwatch 2, where you find the balance of like, hey, are we seeing Genji with an 80% pick rate because the maps favor it, or because he's very overpowered? And I think it'll take some time to sort of move from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2 dynamics and figure out what heroes are actually overpowered, or is it a map design problem? But I think we'll get there. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I agree. I think something also to kind of put a bow on that is you have the role passives in now, so that gives you one big tuning knob for just a whole, like let's say tanks as a whole are strong, right, or DPS as a whole are strong or weak. Role passives gives you a large knob and button that you can tune all of them, right? You can you want to do just a global DPS buff, like let's look at the role passive, right? Or support needs a little bit of love, like let's look at the role passive for that. So I think they have this kind of new balance knob that they can use to tune. But that's going to be it for this episode. Next week, we'll probably do a deeper dive into some of like the free agent news. We still have tons of time with free agency, if we're honest with you guys.
Dude, we got 6 months. Or maybe like close to 5 at this point. It's a lot of months.
Teams are obviously making tons of decisions now. We see I feel like trades or big signings that come out of nowhere like every day. So it really doesn't make sense to do any like team previews or anything until we actually see the rosters out there. As Hugo's just like coughing behind me.
I mean, I would like to add as well. Like I think we got a long off season here, so let us know down in the comments what content you want from us. Do you want more Overwatch 2 stuff? Do you want us talking about the teams more? Whatever,
Yeah,
old VODs, like let us know.
We enjoy doing those shows, and I say we enjoy doing. I haven't been on one where like you guys did with Seagull, and you guys talked about Overwatch 2, and if you guys enjoy stuff like that, we can reach out to other content creators. Let us know what you guys would like in the comments. We also have that episode that we want to do with Kurt, where we see if he actually learned anything by listening to this podcast. So I will have to get that one done.
Overwatch Jeopardy.
Yeah, Bren's Player of the Week this week goes to 3 people. It goes to me, Kurt, and Johnny for being here to film this episode, because Josh is too lazy.
Wow.
God.
Kurt, what do you have to say about
Why
that?
is Josh lazy?
I mean, he's been on every episode, I'm pretty sure. For like 2 years. And he takes one off.
Poor guy. Can't take a day
And now
off.
he just gets slandered on his own show.
Are you sure you want to do that, though? I think you just gave me the Brent's Player of the Week number 1 standing.
All right, fine.
No, you can't go back on it.
All right.
Bren's Player of the Week is Kurt.
I think I'm first.
I think Johnny's number 1 now, overall.
Wow. Thank you, Matt.
Damn.
It's an honor. I can't
What a
believe you,
mistake.
out of all people, did this.
Yeah. What a mistake. Thanks to you guys for tuning in. Tune in to next week for another mistake, episode 110 of Fun Chat. We'll see you all then.
Good
Peace.
mistakes.